On May 14, 2022, the Australian cricket legend Andrew Symonds passed on in a single-car crash. The news left everyone shocked and heartbroken, with tributes pouring in from all over the world. A Fox Sports executive recently revealed the star's final text that he sent out before the accident. Keep watching if you'd like to know more about this final exchange. First up, Aussie cricket icon Andrew Symonds killed in a car accident. What can perfectly be described as a devastating blow to Australian cricket, Aussie cricket icon Andrew Symonds met his end in a car accident around 11 p.m. on Saturday night. This accident took place near the Australian all-rounder's home in Harvey Range, about 50 kilometers from Townsville in northern Queensland. According to police reports, the 46-year-old was traveling near Alice River Bridge with his two pet blue heeler dogs when his car left the road and rolled into a fatal single-vehicle crash. Both dogs survived and were described by witnesses as unwilling to leave Symonds' side. Paramedics were unable to revive the Australian fan favorite upon arriving at the scene, and while the exact cause of the crash is yet to be determined, it was likely due to the inherent risk that comes with driving on country roads at night. Alcohol was completely ruled out as a possibility, although the police are still investigating why the lovable Australian figure was traveling down the rural road and whether seatbelts were involved. Investigation has been further complicated by the delay in post-mortem, which, as explained by Townsville Acting Chief Superintendent Chris Lawson, will depend on when a doctor can be flown up to Townsville. Next, Symonds' final text highlights the type of person he was. Following the Aussie cricketer and commentator's tragic death in a single-car accident over the weekend, Fox Sports Executive Director Steve Crowley has revealed Symonds' final text, providing brilliant insight into this one-of-a-kind character. The all-rounder was a much-loved figure in Australian cricket before his move as commentator for Fox Sports, and his last text highlighted exactly what made him so lovable. Speaking to the Daily Telegraph, Crowley admitted that he received a text from Symonds just hours before his tragic accident. The contents of the text were a screenshot of an article on NFL superstar Tom Brady's $540 million broadcasting deal with Fox Sports USA, paired with a message, "Crawls, we need to talk." Crowley responded with a laughing emoji. The humorous take on the situation by the off-contract commentator, who had previously worked with Fox for 4 years, summed up his friendly personality perfectly. Crowley went on to say that he'd like to remember Symonds as a nice guy, because that's what he was. He was a great Australian character, sort of like an outback hero, like the crocodile hunter, but real. The executive director also praised Symonds in a statement from Fox Sports, saying that he was one of a kind. He further added that they awoke to the shocking news and that their deepest sympathies were with Andrew's wife, Laura, 2 children, and all of his workmates and dear friends throughout Fox Sports and the cricket fraternity. And now, the Aussie cricketer and commentator leaves behind wife and 2 kids. As a result of his untimely death, Andrew Symonds has left behind his wife Laura and their 2 young children, a boy and a girl named Billy and Chloe respectively. The family was shocked and devastated about the Aussie icon's tragic death and what it meant for the 2 kids. Speaking to Courier Mail, Laura admitted that they were still in shock, going on to say that she's just thinking of the 2 kids. Andrew was such a big person, and there's just so much of him in his kids. She further reminisced that her husband was the most laid-back person. He was an extremely chilled, practical operator, and nothing stressed him out. And while he was never good with his phone, he always had time for everyone. Before moving into commentary for Fox Sports, the former cricketer was a key member of the Aussie cricket team, playing a significant role in the back-to-back World Cup wins in 2003 and 2007. The Queenslander played a total of 198 one-day internationals for Australia, as well as 14 2020 internationals and 26 tests. Taking 133 wickets, Symonds made 5,088 runs at ODI level with an average of 39.75. His death led to a flood of tributes from around the world, with both former teammates and rivals remembering him fondly. Tributes for Symonds pour in from around the world. Leading the tributes for the Aussie icon, affectionately named Roy, Adam Gilchrist, Symonds' former teammate and Fox cricket colleague, tweeted that he was an extraordinary player and an even better human being. Gilchrist couldn't believe Symonds was gone, and his thoughts were with his family. He went on to add that he really missed him and wished that he'd rest easy. Former Australian Test captain Ricky Ponting also came forward to pay his tributes, saying that if Roy shook your hand, you had his word. That's the sort of bloke he was, and that's why he always wanted him on his team. Even Symonds' long-standing rival, Harvey Range, who he accused of having called him a monkey during the fiery test at the SCG in 2008, paid his tributes. Harvey Range tweeted that he was shocked to hear about the sudden demise of Andrew Symonds and that he was gone too soon. He also expressed his heartfelt condolences to Symonds' family and friends, along with prayers for the departed soul. The Indian great Sachin Tendulkar, who Andrew spent time with in the Mumbai Indians, also offered his respects and condolences, tweeting that Andrew Symonds' demise was shocking news for all of them to absorb. Not only was he a brilliant all-rounder, but also a live wire on the field. He further expressed that he had fond memories of the time they spent together in Mumbai Indians, and wished for his soul to rest in peace. Next, in other news, the late Andrew Symonds to be honored by the Queensland Bulls. While the cricket world is still reeling in the wake of Australian former cricketer Andrew Symonds' tragic death in a car accident, there have been efforts to make sure his spirit lives lives on. With a push from Queensland cricket, the all-rounder's all set to be honoured by his former club, the Queensland Bulls, with a new award named after him. Putting his support behind the Bulls' creation of a Best Team Player award to be named after Symonds is Queensland cricket board member and former Australian champion wicketkeeper Ian Healy. As Healy told News Corp, that's what Symonds was all about, the team. Stats paint a good picture of how good Andrew was as a player, but he was always much more than his stats. According to the champion wicketkeeper, Symonds lived the Bulls way. The team side of things was everything to him. He was a hard worker at training, and he would help out other players in the nets. With all this in mind, it seemed appropriate to name an award for Best Team Player after him. Andrew's best mate, Jimmy Mayer, breaks down on live TV. Ever since the Australian international cricketer's untimely death, tributes and messages have been pouring in from his former teammates, friends, and even his rivals. But few knew Symonds as well as former teammate and longtime good friend Jimmy Mayer. As one of Andrew's best mates, Mayer fought back tears on live TV as he paid an emotional tribute to his childhood friend and former teammate. The two first met at the age of 8 as cricket opponents representing their respective regions of North Queensland and Far North Queensland, but soon became fast friends. With almost 30 years of friendship between them, Jimmy told the Today Show that Andrew was the type of guy that if he had your back, he always had your back. He was just that loyal. Jimmy called Andrew a true friend and said that he'll miss the things that they shared far away from the cricket field. As Mayer struggled to maintain his composure, the interview was called off by Today Show co-host and good friend Carl Stefanovic, who told him he was doing great by the family and to stay tough. Jimmy admitted that the last few days had been hard as he traveled to Townsville to support Symonds' frazzled family. County cricket remembers Andrew Symonds as a force of nature. As Kent and Surrey players observed a minute of silence to honor Andrew Symonds, Kent head coach Matt Walker remembered Symonds' unbeat 96 off 37 balls against Hampshire in the first season of the T20 Cup in 2003, and his world record 34-ball 100 in 37 minutes against Middlesex the following season. He described the moment as almost surreal, since it was so early on in the T20. No one really knew how to play the game, but Symonds got it, and although Walker couldn't remember the shot he played because it was so long ago, what he did remember was the shell shock around the ground, especially from the Middlesex players who couldn't quite believe what was going on. There was almost a sense of it being nothing like anything they'd seen before, but Symonds, being Symonds, just sort of walked it off like it was no big deal. According to Walker, he was a force of nature and an incredibly talented athlete who could have played any sport he wanted to. And that's a wrap for this video. Do you think Andrew Symonds' last text reflected the kind of person he was? Let us know in the comments below. And make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos just like this. We'll see you in the next one.